Normally, the British make some good dogfighters. However, with the Harrier, the British decided to copy the Spaniards, that is, having terrible energy retention. Okay, copied Vowelman style thumbnail aside, hello, I'm gukx, or gukx, and today I'm flying out the AV-8C Harrier, which is a British jet in the American tech tree, placed at 9.7. It has two incredibly good rear aspect missiles, being the AIM-9G. It can space climb extremely well, and due to the matchmaker, it gets decently common super down tiers to 8.3. I'll explain this in a bit. At the start of the game, what you want to do in the AV-8C is just to pitch almost straight up and become a rocket ship. I usually go to around 6 kilometers and then level out, but if there's anyone up here with me, I will go higher. The way you play this plane is essentially by just sitting at 6k altitude, diving down to launch 2 missiles, and climbing back up again. However, in order for this to work, I have to explain the matchmaker at this tier. As you probably already know, compression in Warthunder is when two planes of a BR difference of 1.0 have a much larger performance difference than what a properly balanced game should be. This means my 9.7 Harrier will absolutely dust an 8.7 and will get absolutely dusted by a 10.7. This is really only a problem from rank 5 and 6 onwards, and it's not that big of an issue for props. However, you may remember at the beginning of the video I mentioned that the Harrier can get downtiered into 8.3. Normally, this isn't possible since you should only be able to face one BR lower than you, and while 8.3 is 1.4 lower. To do this, we will employ a tactic called super downtiering. It's really simple. All you have to do is make your lineup consist of the plane you want to play, in our case, the Harrier, and a reserve plane. Due to how Warthunder calculates your BR, this will cause your average BR to be 0.3 lower than the highest plane in your lineup. When I queue for matches, this causes my BR to queue as 9.3 instead of 9.7. You probably haven't heard of this because it's only possible in arcade and really only Vowelman talks about it. Now, you may be wondering, well, gukx, if you can lower your battle rating by 0.3, why doesn't everyone else do it, which in return makes you face the same planes as you did before? Well, you would be correct to a certain extent. This is the problem. People actually do it, which is something we need to deal with. Now, in our game, the BR range is 9.3 to 8.3, a super down tier for us. And luckily for us in the footage, nobody is super down tiering, so I have a huge advantage since I'm the only 9.7 in our room. Normally, I see things like the MiG-21S, the AV-8C or A, or the F-8U get in the lobby. Now when this happens, I will spam the chat telling my teammates to kill them and also make them my top 1 priority. This is because the AV-8C can't really contest something like an F-8U in a dogfight. If the F-8 player wants me dead, there's nothing I can do about it. The F-8 is faster, turns better, and retains more energy than me. I can't run away, and I can't hide at 10k altitude because he can also rocket ship up to me. And I can't get a free missile kill since they have flares, which means I need to take them out immediately before I can start raining havoc on the enemy team. However, once you get rid of the scary planes, it literally becomes brain dead easy to do good in this thing, assuming you have enough people to kill and they continue spawning in, allowing you to kill more. This brings me to one of the main downfalls of this jet. You can't kill everyone fast enough. The AV-8C can only bring 2 AIM-9Gs. Now, the AIM-9Gs are incredible, don't get me wrong, but also a little overkill. It's like the coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb meme. You're using an incredible missile against some poor F-86s that just don't have flares and also don't see it coming. This limits your capacity to kill by how fast your missiles can reload. And now, while you can use your guns, it's really easy to bleed all your speed and get a bunch of better returning opponents on your 6. I use my guns on high altitude bombers and also at the end, where it's less likely for me to get outnumbered. The missile reload on the AV-8C is also quite long. I have a maxed out and experted crew on the Harrier and the reload is still almost 50 seconds long. This means with only missiles, you can theoretically get 20 kills in a little over 8 minutes. However, this is just not realistic at all, as this assumes we instantly get 2 targets that we are behind and that both get killed by the missiles that we launch, and we have to launch them instantly upon reloading. And this also doesn't factor in the minute of downtime you have at the beginning of the game just climbing and getting to the battle. What I'm saying is, you're going to take a while to find a target, you might not even hit that target, so more realistically, it's going to take like 15 to 20 minutes to get 20 kills with only missiles. And it's going to be very rare for a game of arcade to actually last that long. My point is that you have to use your gun, but you have to use it strategically. If you're close to the target and you think you can shoot him down without getting severely out of position or low altitude, go for it. Now, this requires you have some decent idea of how to use your guns, which I recommend watching my aim guide that I've already made. The same idea applies, but you just gotta lead even more past the lead indicator. Now, before all of you go commenting, well, that's not a good tip, try it out for yourself. It actually works pretty well. Now, in the background footage, I want to point out the antagonists in this game, the F-86F on the other team named Raising Dead. Here, I do crit him and he died about 2 minutes later, but he becomes incredibly annoying for me to kill, and is prime example of counterplay to the AV-8C and spawn campers in general. Now, one of the main ways I avoid dying in the AV-8C is to stay up high, and only come down to missile people and get an occasional gun kill. This works because nobody else has the energy and climb rate to reach me, since nobody's super down tiering. Instead of hiding behind a mountain, I just get so far up from them that the air becomes my mountain. Missiles can't go through mountains, but missiles also can't go through 5 kilometers of nothing either, at least not at this tier. One thing I want to point out in the background footage right now is that I'm low altitude. I saw a B-29 and wanted to kill it. However, this puts me in a really bad spot since an IL-28 spawns right in front of me and all of my weapons are on reload. It's at this point in the game that the enemy team is getting quite angry at me since I just murdered like 10 of them. The Warthunder launches the missile at me and I have to pop my first countermeasures of the match. He wants me dead so much that he even pitches directly up for me and launches another missile. This is what you do not want to do when facing any spawn camper in general. The spawn camper gets a huge energy advantage, and when you pitch up for them, you stall out, giving me a free kill. Here I opt to just send a 9G his way since I'm worried about the other people in his spawn coming for me if I went for guns. Luckily, nobody is coming for me and I get a free kill. I believe this Warthunder is just an example of what not to do in this situation. Now at this point in the game, I think the endgame has begun. There aren't that many people on the other team and they're all in weak planes. This means I can start playing more aggressive for kills and going for guns more. I'm going to fast forward because nothing happens here. At this stage in the game, surprisingly, they're still spawning in, and I'm sitting over their spawn lobbing missiles at all of them. Remember Raising Dead? Yeah, what he does in the rest of the game is a prime example of how to piss off spawn campers. Essentially what he did was he denied me a good rear aspect shot and was constantly turning, making it extremely unlikely that the missile would hit, making it extremely unlikely that I launch it at him in the first place. He also stays low enough to make sure I can't dive on him without the airfield firing at me. Now normally in realistic, it's very difficult to straight up out-turn an AIM-9G, but since everything turns so much faster in arcade, flareless planes like the F-86 can just straight up outmaneuver my missile, and that's essentially what this guy and Raising Dead did. This means if you're flareless, you can still defeat most missiles you come across, so just pay attention. Once again, I'm gonna fast forward a bit, there's nothing much that happens here. Here, I'm diving on 2 people, Mr. Raising Dead and this ME-262. I first launch a missile at the 262 since I have a good rear aspect shot, and try to loop around to get Mr. Raising Dead. The 262 makes a crucial mistake, which is not seeing me or the missile in the first place. The problem with most players is that they only look straight ahead of them, and don't care about what happens above you. Situational awareness in this game is the most important skill. Raising Dead didn't die to me because he saw me coming. Most spawn campers rely on ambush tactics, or the enemy just pitching straight up for them. If you see me, and also decide to run away, there's nothing I can really do about it, and I'll most likely let you live since it's not worth the effort, especially since all your teammates are dying to me over and over again, and I can just farm them for kills, and you wouldn't be worth the effort. Now, it's the late game, none of that really applies, since our team has killed their team so many times that most of their team has left the game. This means that our team can focus down and chase down people as aggressively as we want, since there's nobody else to kill, meaning there's less threat to me and my team. Here, I chase down an F-86 on a deck, and normally at the start of the game, this is a super dumb move, since you put yourself on the deck, making yourself low energy and getting rid of the altitude advantage that prevents the enemy from reaching you. However, the enemy can't do this, since they only have 3 people left in the game. So, if I want kills, I have to go after these people, and there's 0 consequences for doing so. Here, since the remaining enemy team is stuck in a dogfight, my missiles aren't gonna hit, meaning it's time to use that gun magic that you hopefully learned by watching my aim guide. Wait, I think I already shamelessly plugged my aim guide. Oh, whatever. We delete that F9F with these 30mm 8Ns, and we also shred the Venom that decided to get nice and slow in a dogfight with my teammate. Thank you very much for the free kill. Now, I see that more people are spawning in, so I rush to get some altitude in order to start an attack on them again. At this point, I have 18 kills, and I've never hit 20 before, so I'm super nervous, and my hands are shaking. And when I see that 3 people spawn in, my nerves go up by at least 3 times, since I now know 20-0 is possible. I dive on the F-80, looking for a missile shot, but he turns, and I go in for guns. However, I narrowly miss. Now, normally the British make some good dogfighters, however with the Harrier, the British decided to copy the Spaniards, that is, having terrible energy retention. I go head on and realize I'm out of ammo. My cannons have 15 seconds of reload. I have no choice but to extend away and circle back. While I was taking that dogfight, the P-51 died, leaving only the F-80, a Spitfire, and an F-84G that I cannot reach in time. I need 2 more to get to 20. I know I'm running out of time, so I go all in. I get the kill, but I get crit, and now my plane really wants to roll left. Luckily, I'm still in control. I fly in towards the last Spitfire, looking for that magical number 20. Yes, let's go. That's 20. Oh my god, dude. Finally, yes. That's PB. Oh, yes. Finally, bro, that took so much time. Oh my goodness. Yes. And there you have it, folks. That's how I got my first ever 20 kill streak. From going 8-2 in my first video about the AV-8C in arcade to going 20-0. I know it's not that impressive and I still have a long way to go, but it marks the start of my TTAA journey. I end the game with thunderous applause from my team and the entire enemy team dead. Hey, what's that down there? Is that what I think it is? An ultra low quality outro.